Hey YouTube land, just Jax here, and this is Karma, and I want to talk today about something that I don't talk about on this channel a lot, and that is my overall just health. I have posted about my ostomy before, but I have no videos up about my health and why I have an ostomy or my chronic illness that I'm going on 30 years of having. That is not the topic of this video today, but being sick since I was 14 does come into play on what is going on mentally with me currently. Over a year ago, I got in a weird accident to save myself during a high wind situation while I was working in a fireworks tent. I dove under a table to save myself. I had to be screamed at in the moment to even do anything, and I just dove to save myself. And landing on my left side, I broke my leg and I hurt my back. And at the time, the priority was my leg being so broken it had to be immobilized, and I had to go through physical therapy and all this stuff. And after that was done with, I just went back to normal activities and didn't get my back checked out again until earlier this year. And in doing that has been a process, and in that process where I'm at currently is in physical therapy. I have to go through so much physical therapy and any medications I can tolerate in my sobriety to control my pain before insurance will even consider covering needle injections into the nerve, possibly to relieve the pain that the disc is causing by pinching that nerve and everything else in between. To me, that is the most and the bulk of my pain, and that is what gets me to be less mobile versus all the other pain from having to walk different and this, that, and the other. And I do work in the service industry, and it can be a physical job in its own ways, and mine is the way that I work it. And because standing still now is so painful for me, that I just keep moving as much as I can during my shifts, and pretty much know I cannot do anything the rest of the day once I get home because of that. And having that mentality is helpful and hurtful to someone like me who has a faulty body that they have to listen to more than they want to. And this is not, to me, the worst day in my medical history that I've had, but it's close. And the worst day in my medical history was the day that my GI told me that I needed to stop working for my health, that my work ethic paired with my body was going to kill me because I had to work so hard just to live paycheck to paycheck. And he very much helped me get on disability to save myself from myself. And having that mentality and just the go, 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 no matter what is going on. I don't like to be sick. I don't like to stop and take a break. And I wait until my body shuts down at times to listen to my body, causing more pain than it's worth. And I have to stop that pattern, especially now in my 40s. So, to try to stay as mobile and as take care of myself as I possibly can with the condition that my body is currently in, I now have to use a cane. I had a literal more time spent today with my wonderful PT, my physical therapist, talking about what losing my mobility, because we were discussing the walks that I take in the morning with my dog, the up to 3 mile walks I take in the mornings that I get up at 5 and 6 a.m. to take for my mental health and to keep moving and to make sure that I still see parts of this world and not close myself off because of my pain is doing harm to me physically. So to find a balance between the two I have to slow down and stop in some ways and not do as much and use a cane in between. I can still work without it, and I can do what I choose to without it. But the more that I use it, the better my life would be. But the stigma of that, and just the mentality of like not being able to do this myself, is very hard for me today. And I can't repeatedly tell this story at all, so I'm telling this story once. And so my friends and family can see that I'm okay, but I'm not okay. This December does mark 30 years with my Crohn's. And to get to this point with the complicated history that I have had is its own series of vlogs that I could go through. And I know that I'm going to be okay, that I just have to pivot and readjust and come to terms with a new normal and not be hard on myself. But that is very hard for me. No lie. To do the little bit of things that I feel that I've been able to do in my life with the body that I was given is a miracle of science. The amount of body parts that I'm missing, some by choice and some by others by not, and some by choice because my pain was so much. And I know what I went through with my ostomy that a lot of people don't know that I went through with my ostomy. And what my mental health was like during that time is also the worst that my sobriety was. And I don't know my days, but I know that later, oh, hang on, kitty cat. Later this year is my 3-year anniversary of being sober, and my mental health affects my sobriety the most. That happened just a couple of weeks ago when I almost relapsed for the first time ever in this time period. And it was solely to get out of my head. And that's what I did the most before, during, and after my ostomy. That's when I absolutely abused the most. And to be in a similar situation that is very comparable to my ostomy, and being told I am disabled and all those things, like, it's hard. It's very hard. And I know that I can talk to my friends, and I know that I can tell people what's going on, and I know that I will have help. But I know that me telling and retelling this story, even just this once, is doing this much to me. And like I said, we had to close the door and have a 20-minute powwow with my physical therapist just to get me through, because he just talked to me about just not walking that far in the morning, and I broke down. And so I can't do as long of walks, and I might have to stop and sit on the way with where I walk my dog in the morning and compromise what I'm doing for myself. But he compared it to two troughs, where my pain trough and my mental trough have to coexist, and they're not. And I think that I'm doing okay when I'm not. And it's very hard to hear if you've never heard it. And to get to where I'm at with my other chronic illnesses is a very delicate balancing act. And when I say you've thrown off the emperor's groove, and I'm the rhythm in which I live my life, and when that gets thrown off, it does affect me a lot, and it affects my chronic illness. And to also, on top of that, been having to deal with an injury for over a year that's still not healed. And we haven't even discussed the timeline of when my pain can get better, just trying to get it to calm down so my pain receptors aren't as crazy as they are, so other things in life don't overstimulate me as, and I know that's a thing now, but I have been given a weekend homework assignment of looking into pain vlogs and pain information and studies and stuff to better understand my body, my pain, and how I handle it and how I don't handle it. And it's just a lot right now, and it's one of those things where I when I know I'm sick, I take somebody with me to a doctor. And when I know it's going to be bad, I know that mentally that I possibly will check out and miss the information that's been given to me. And today was a day where I went by myself. I did not ask anyone to go. It was just physical therapy. I thought I was fine. Like, I had a new path. We were doing new things and we were adjusting my PT as needed because it was just the third visit. And to hit this today was not on my bingo card. And to make sure that I can take care of myself and my friends know that, like, I'm okay, but I'm going to need some help and I don't know what that is right now. Telling the story once and getting it out there is for me the best that I can do. And not everybody that tries to come in and help me will be allowed. And that's not a personal thing. That is not, please don't take that as offensive. But if I leave messages unread, if I don't respond like I used to, if I don't do the things that I've been doing consistently, and there is, you know, a sense that I'm off, I am. I'm going to be. And I don't know how long that is, because having a chronic illness for me is the 5 stages of grief over and over and over again throughout your life from day to day, because you have to mourn things that you've lost along the way, and losing more mobility for someone that has to keep going to stay okay. Sitting in my recliner last year for the broken leg and being just completely immobile for that was awful. It was awful. And as soon as I got the clearance to be on my feet again and to do anything, as long as I wasn't lifting, I still did it. I was still doing drag, and then afterwards people were like, you're still stomping with that foot and you're still doing this, like you can't do this and you can't do that and you're still doing it. I was told then that I was hurting my body, and I had to take a small step back then, and it was hard. And so losing a piece of yourself, even just for a glimmer of time, changes you. And after so many years of that, like, it's not a why me, it's not a pitiful me, it's just give me some grace, because this is one of the first times that I'm telling people what I'm going through as I'm going through it. Because my ostomy journey, I did 99% of that by myself. And a lot of people don't know how close I got to not living through that. And I'm not there with this right now, and I don't think that I will be, but that's what I will go through by myself before I will try to put my burden on somebody else. And that too is something that I'm working on, and I'm talking to people, and I'm going through things as I go through them with people listening or, you know, talking to me. And that is like a brand new experience for me. So to sit here in my pain and talk about it, yes, I've done that with my transition and my frustrations with that, but this is bigger than that. This is part of the reason a lot of people don't talk about their health is because of the stigma attached to not being okay and being expected to still be okay, which is why people get the mentality that I do have. And I don't like being sick. I don't like living in my bedroom. I don't like this, that, or the other. So I fight hard as hell to be as normal as I can, unintentionally hurting myself along the way. And That's why I preach to other people to listen to their bodies, because I don't. I do, but I don't. Like, I will. The hospital stay that I was told I have to be disabled on, I was working at a location and helping open a brand new store in town, and it was hard hours, it was long hours, and I took all the hours that I could get because I needed them. And the last day that I worked, which was the day that we opened the store, I took a carry-on suitcase, packed for a week, knowing I needed to go to the ER, and worked my shift, which was 9.5 hours total with breaks. And at the end of my shift, I asked someone to take me to the ER and drop me off because I knew I was going to be admitted. And I was. And as much as I admire that of myself, and like I want to say that's my strong suit, it's actually kind of my downfall sometimes, or most of the times. And I know my friends have quietly and not quietly watched me go through this. And I took a break from drag for a year for my sobriety because I could not be in that environment because of how I handled it. Because before I before I got sober, I went with someone who was sober, and they asked the entire table to not drink that night for their sake because it was their first time going out. And I agreed to that, and I was okay with that until I got there. And I snuck drinks away from the table. So when I knew that I needed to be sober, I knew I could not go to that specific place that I had that mentality with, or do drag in general. I had to learn a new normal. And part of that new normal is dealing with my emotions sober. So talking about this now is part of that. And that's what this channel has been for, is for me. So this is me putting everything that I'm feeling as best as I can, as honestly as I can, out in the open, and hoping that, you know, I'm not going to get judgment for having to change the rhythm in which I live my own life for myself. And I don't think that I will, but in case that there is, I have to create boundaries and do what's best for me. So if whatever I'm going through, whether not just this, just life in general, doesn't mesh with people anymore, I'm not going to make puzzle pieces fit that don't fit anymore. And there's been so much that has gone on in my life since the end of January 2023 that is still changing and still evolving, and I'm still learning who I am and what to do and what not to do. And earlier this year, there was a whole other thing that I got all wrapped up in, and then like there's so much going on aside from just this. And everyone has that. I'm not special. I'm not, you know, that's not what this is about. This is just mostly so my friends and family that care about me can know what's going on without me having to retell this story, is what this was about. But at the same time, telling everyone that a lot of things in my life have been changing even before this, or because of this, or whatever. And I'm having to do a lot more for myself, by myself, and that I'm okay with that. And I do have to also not do that and learn to lean on people again when people in the past have let me down. So it's a fine balance that I'm going to have to work at, and I'm working at it. But if you care and you want to help me. And reassure me that I'm okay, that we're okay, whatever. But at the same time, I don't know what I need. And that's what I've been through since I heard this a couple hours ago, other than like sitting in a car and crying, getting the courage to go into Walmart, to even go look at the canes and even see if I could afford one to begin with. That was his own thing. and just make sure that I did what I needed to do for myself and leave that store, that was another hour of my day, more than an hour of my day, not to be honest. And I don't, I can't explain a situation that I still haven't processed yet. So, as usual, this is the rawest you're gonna see me. This is the most emotional you're gonna see me, because I don't even know what to say other than just the facts. And feelings are not facts, and feelings will change. And just like, a couple of weeks ago, I had something happen about my drag career. And yes, I do have to have, that moment of like, oh my God, like, what the fuck is going on? And then my opinion will slowly change as I get new information, as I process the old information. And yes, my feelings are valid and my over feelings are valid, but I do have, a bomb just went off in my life for me that is gonna change some things. And I don't know what, and I don't know how, and I don't know a lot of things. And for someone who needs stability and a pattern and a rhythm in which he lives his life, that's scary. So I was already scared of the possible treatments that were going to be needed just to relieve my pain, to try to fix what's going on, to not even need a surgery that I still don't know if I need, to fix the issue in my back. And I might be a pro at getting surgeries, but I didn't sign up for this many. And this is just an honest look at what shit gets like for some people. And I've hidden a lot of my journey medically at times, because I've seen comments and I've seen memes making fun of me specifically, or the people that are like, well, you can't be disabled, I saw you do this. Okay, that's great. You saw 2 minutes of my day. You saw one picture, or you saw that. Just like with my drag career, I've been disabled my entire drag career, and I've only canceled, I would say, probably 5 shows. And the first one was after a myostomy. I still tried to do that show, and my friends begged me to cancel. They're like, you have staples in your body and you have a new appliance attached to you, and they had to beg me to cancel that show. I do my best. I do my best, and I try not to be different, and I try not to need extra things, and I try not to need extra help. And I have to listen to literally my physical therapist that told me I have to ask for help. I have to stop when my pain starts. I can't live the rhythm in which I currently live my life. And I'm going to read a quote from a song that has been beautiful in its own way and made me reflective currently. But so I've been listening to the entire album on mega repeat since it has dropped. And so for me to plug in my phone and this song come on when I'm at my worst of the day wasn't a surprise, but at the time it was, because I actually sat in the car while I was crying and listened to the lyrics more intently than I ever have before. But sum up a crazy complicated life in just a moment of your time. Sometimes you're driving, sometimes you're stalling, sometimes you're flying, sometimes you're falling, but there's still beauty in the nosedive. Sometimes you're running, sometimes you're crawling, sometimes you're broke, sometimes you're balling, but there's still beauty in the nosedive. On my descent, the turbulence is my best friend. Buckle up and enjoy the ride. I cut my line through a pale blue sky to remind me I'm alive. For now, that's it. That's all I've got for you today. But I am okay. I am sober. I am safe. I am in my house. And I know that I will do better. And I will go from here the best way that I know how. And if things need to change to make myself better, they will, just like any other time in my life. It's just not the brick wall I planned to hit today. But there's always another day, right? That is it. That's all I have for you today.